One. Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 11. I am Matt Baide, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Baide and Kevin Ardal.
And KP made an appearance. Right
KP made a quick appearance there. Oh, she's still there. She's all right. She's closing the door. She's closing the door.
Off to a good start.
Off to a good start. So, boy, what a game on Sunday. Let's just jump right into it, gentlemen. First of all, if you guys have any takes out there, tweet at us. I am at Beatty_Matt. Sean is at Sean_Beatty, and Kevin is at Kev Believes, with the first E in Believes being a 3. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Tell us what you thought of the game and what your upcoming thoughts are. Hey, Max, how's it going? So let's just jump right into it, fellas. 44-34 Buffalo. Morning game. I was having mimosas and a little upset, not with the mimosas, but more with the game. So, I'm going to start with Sean because before the show, he said he has some hot takes, not about the game, but Sean, what were your thoughts on the game?
I think those people online who are listening, you clearly had some takes because they were all over the place. Very quickly, I assume we'll get in this a little bit later, but the defense was bad, and I would say Russell was pretty bad too. But that's a very quick short of it. I also will give some credit to the Bills. The Bills are not a bad team. I wouldn't say they're actually a very good team, but you gave Josh Allen time, and Josh Allen time with Diggs and those guys, they're gonna make plays, and that's what they were given. I know the number of all these sacks and everything like that. The Bills came in with a good game plan against the Seahawks defense. Seahawks defense is bad at passing defense, and the Bills were like, we're just gonna do that. Why even bother running the ball? And that's what they did the whole game. I know we got a bunch of sacks, but when they drop back, 45 times or something like that, you're gonna get some sacks. But they killed us in the air. That was it. Bad defense, bad Russell.
I'm just going to throw some stats out there real quick for everybody. Russell was 28 of 41, 390, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He took 5 sacks himself, rating 94.6. Leading rusher was DJ Dallas, 7 carries, 31 yards, and a touchdown. Russ also had a carry for a touchdown. Leading receiver was DK Metcalf once again, 7 catches, 108 yards, and a touchdown. David Moore, 4 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. On the other side, Josh Allen, 31 of 38, 415, 3 touchdowns, was sacked 7 times, and 138 passer rating. Zach Moss, 9 carries, 18 yards, 1 touchdown. As Sean said, they really had no reason to run the football. Stephon Diggs, 9 catches, 118 yards, no touchdowns. John Brown, 8 catches, 99 yards, no touchdowns. And Gabriel Davis, whoever that is, 4 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Kevin, give us your thoughts on what you saw on Sunday.
Wow. Honestly, this game was more what I thought it was going to be in the beginning of the season, and then I changed my mind last week on the podcast just based off of what we saw the weeks with New England and the Jets and them just playing terrible, having like zero game plan, and then somehow just a light of knowledge was shined down upon them. And they were just like, well, we know how to beat them. The crazy thing is, like, it took 9 weeks for a team to figure it out that we're last place in pass defense. So it's like, why not just throw the ball on them? Like, everybody has this Pete mentality, like, you got to balance the ball. And we got out coached. The head coach was just like, no, we're just going to throw it. And you're going to have to stop us. And we didn't. And we kind of saw the result. Yeah, it's a bad day all around, pretty much, other than the pass rush. But that just kind of shows you that sacks are overrated, as Sean has already mentioned. We've already mentioned, like, 7 sacks don't mean crap when you give up 44 points. So, I mean, it was nice to see. Don't get me wrong. Like, I want to see more of that, but I also wanted to see us not give up 44 points. That'd be nice. And we'll kind of get into that a little later on. Russ was just a little bit off on a lot of stuff. And honestly, I don't know, even like toward the end of the second half, they were still like trying to run the ball and establish balance. I don't know why. It's like, I get the run defense is not great, but you're still not doing anything. Your plan was to have your 3rd and 4th string running back try to go against that really bad defense or your other game plan could be Russell and your great receiving core with 2 top 10 receivers just poop on him. You could have done that play, but you tried to find balance. And it was just bad execution. We got out coached. we really didn't play well. We saw that pretty much injuries are kind of kicking us a little bit too. Dunbar played like crap. We really missed Ugo out there.
Dunbar was so bad.
Yeah, I mean, Ugo's our best, pass coverage guy. Like, that's kind of sad to say. Like, and hopefully he'll get better. Hopefully Shaq's going to be back and like they can kind of get some stuff back. And we'll kind of go into that on why I think this possibly has a chance to get better. But overall, yeah, it was just one of we have it every year, not to this degree, of course, where we're like, we just go really ignorant and we just forget what the hell we're doing. And then we just get excuse me, pardon me.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry. Long 11-hour day, boys. Get our crap pushed in. Just really, it's just not good. And then normally the next week we bounce back, but I don't know if that's going to be the case this week. So we'll get into that later.
I would like to state that the defense was most certainly bad. There's no denying that they did not play a good game, but I think this loss falls on the offense because with the 4 turnovers compared to 0 turnovers, Seahawks have had turnovers throughout these games this year, and this week the defense couldn't turn the ball over, and off of turnovers they had 3 short fields and 16 total points, and you take those 16 points away and the Seahawks have a victory. 34 points beats 19 of the 28 teams that played this week. So like we've said all year, like the Seahawks have to just outscore their opponents, and 44 points is asking a lot of the offense, and they're certainly capable of it. Russell with that interception in the red zone, and then he had 2 fumbles in their own 30, I think, and then he also had a pick which was inside the 10. So defense did not play well, granted, I will absolutely say that, but your offense doesn't do you any favors when you give them short fields all the time, and when you get 16 points off turnovers, that's basically the difference in the game. Now if they Seahawks get a turnover or 2 on defense, do they maybe make it a little bit closer? Maybe they even possibly win. But I think that the offense needs to improve, particularly Russell, because all the turnovers were on him. He fumbled, he threw picks, and while you put up 34 points, 4 turnovers is not going to get it done for anybody, regardless of, your defense might be able to save you sometimes if you have 4 turnovers, but most of the time they're not. I don't know why our mom is calling us, Sean. That is very weird. But with that being said, let's go ahead.
It is your birthday. That's why. Everybody,
that's true.
Time out. It is Matthew's birthday.
Yeah,
so.
I forgot about that.
That's true.
Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you. I have my Series S over here waiting for me after this podcast, so that'll be nice. But let's get into what you guys really want to talk about. I can see it on both your faces. You guys are really on the let's get rid of Pete Carroll train. I don't know what you want to call it.
Not exactly. We're gonna.
I don't know. Let's maybe fire Ken Norton. I don't know what you guys are getting. Let's just. I'm gonna let you guys take it. Who wants to start here?
I'll let Kevin go.
All right.
Okay. So for a while now, and it's not only just me and Sean, we have a couple other people that we know that also want to kind of see a little bit of part ways. Where do I begin with Pete? Like, for one, you extend him this game, and then you saw like what happened. Like, he hasn't really. We could start out with drafting. Let's start out with drafting first. Okay. He hasn't drafted well since all the college kids that he played college with have rotated out. Other than he's had a couple picks, DK Metcalf and a couple other things that he got, lucky on. So their drafting has been terrible. And then they also use that as an excuse to give away first round picks. Which is really bad. It's like, well, we suck at first round picks, so we'll just trade away and go get a player like that. And it's just like, no, don't do that. Get better at drafting first round picks. Don't be dumb.
Then you need to trade all those picks to get players.
And then you, like, for right now, like as Twitter already examined that Jamal Adams is playing terrible right now. He's like 58th out of like 72 in safeties right now.
Like 64.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah. He's
like
terrible.
His coverage, his coverage is not existing. He just blitzes. That's all he does, which is good. But you also have to play coverage too. Like, that's the point of a safety is to cover.
Cam Newton, we're recording this on Tuesday, played the Jets and looked terrible passing the football. He was 6 for 6 for 180 targeting Jamal Adams this year in the game they played. Cam Newton was perfect when playing Jamal Adams, and he was terrible against the Jets, Jamal's old team. So Jamal has to play better in coverage. He just has to.
Yep. Like, I mean, what are they going to expect to like have Ryan Neal back there while he like I don't expect that out of Ryan Neal to go to play that well. Now Ryan Neal could get better with passing, but at the same time too, that's not fair of Ryan Neal, like at all. You got this secondary to do those type of things. Now, yes, it's having Jamal Adams' capabilities of pass rushing is good, but when you're doing it so much that it's predictable, like it doesn't do you really any good when they can just burn you over the top for 15, 20 yards a throw. So drafting has been terrible. Player evaluation and everything has been terrible ever since like the whole always compete thing has been a load of crap ever since Russell like won the job. Up until like maybe this year, you could say there's been a couple of spots, but and Chris Carson too, I guess you could say. But honestly, everybody else died, so they're just kind of like, Chris Carson, you got the job. It's honestly like Blair, for example, was probably one of our best ranked defensive people on PFF last year, and he was benched the whole season. Allen Robinson this year has actually been playing pretty good, and like we're barely playing him. We're barely see what we got. We're looking into other players, and and that's another thing too that he does is instead of going and get other talented players, he goes and gets people that he's familiar with that he think he can boost up, like Benson Mayoa and Bruce Irvin this year in pass rushing. Like, why that he only went and got him because they knew they were familiar with the scheme and he didn't have to teach them a whole lot. That's just lazy coaching. Like, you're the defensive guru. Like, go get a good pass rusher and then teach them your schemes to where they can do what you want, but still also be the beast that they are, instead of going getting two moderate guys that are okay at pass rush and overpay them. And one gets hurt for it, of course. And then they come in and pretty much do nothing for you, like all because they've been in your scheme before. And then you did this exact same when you went and got Kendricks back too, even though he's back on the practice squad. But it's like, it's just a repeat. Like he doesn't trust anybody that he hasn't really had before, unless like John comes in there probably, and it's just like, oh, this guy's really, 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 really good, and just like has to like bleed on a table for him just to consider it.
That's the
because
rumor
Pete has too much, and that's
the
another
rumor
thing
he did with Russell Wilson.
That's another thing. Pete has too much power. Pete has way too much power. Like, honestly, and everybody thinks that Ken Norton is running this defense. It is not Ken Norton. Like, I imagine Ken Norton has a little bit of, like, especially on the what they're doing on blitz packages and stuff like that. But the fact that they ran base defense 68% of the time on defensive snaps last year, that is not Ken Norton, people. That is Pete Carroll. Like, who in like that's literally been his bread and butter since 2012, and it worked pretty much for them because they had beasts of everybody on defense. They had depth galore, so it worked early on because literally the Legion of Boom and everybody else was just god tier. So you could literally run base defense because you're getting after the pass rush 4, and everybody in your secondary is a god, so it doesn't matter. Like, but now you don't have those pieces, and you're literally, even though it wasn't working, he's just like, well, we'll fix it somehow, like type of deal. And it just hasn't worked. So I don't want to keep going on because I want to let Sean have his time a little bit too, but I'll use that as a starter, and we'll kind of feed back and forth on that.
So my whole thing of like what Kevin said was fire Ken Norton Jr. I don't know how you can differentiate Ken Norton Jr. So Matthew, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What do you think Pete Carroll does well on this team?
Well, okay. Does he call all the plays?
No.
Okay. I mean, he has a fairly good culture, which is why we've been winning this past decade.
That's why we've been winning?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I the common things that I hear is the culture, is his record. He wins a lot. We should be grateful because of the past coaches that we've had. I'm gonna just shatter all these. Okay, so culture. That culture resulted in 2 Seahawks on the field giving him the bird. The same player retiring so he didn't have to play for that team anymore. And Marshawn Lynch, he retired so he didn't have to play for the Seahawks anymore. Quote said, fuck the Seahawks after the Super Bowl game, and then retired so he didn't have to play.
Yep.
Left and then came back just to support his own brand because he didn't really want to play anymore. He had another 5 other players write an article with Richard Sherman saying that the culture had failed and it doesn't work anymore. Like multiple players have come out and said this culture doesn't work. And I get that like people like culture, but if culture isn't helping you on Sundays or bringing you players for cheaper, it's not doing you any good. Like great that they love being here, but if it doesn't show up on Sundays, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. I don't care that they're feeling good or anything like that. If they're not playing good on Sunday, it doesn't matter. The next thing is the win-loss record. So I did some numbers here. Pete Carroll has a worse record than Jason Garrett without Russell Wilson. He is a sub 500 coach without Russell Wilson, and he's a way above 500 coach with Russell Wilson. So my response to that would be, is Pete Carroll the reason they're winning, or is Russell Wilson, we know the most important position in all of football, getting a good quarterback, the reason the Seahawks are winning? I would say since they drafted Russell Wilson, that's the reason they're winning, not because Pete Carroll changed something magically. Russell turned this franchise around. Mike McCarthy for the Packers, who got fired, who won a Super Bowl, has the same exact winning percentage as Pete Carroll before the season started. And he got fired and won a Super Bowl. And he had Aaron Rodgers. And the Packers fans hate him because he wasted Aaron Rodgers' prime. And for years until I will give people Pete credit, he changed this year. But until this year, he wasted Russell Wilson. He did not use Russell Wilson. And another thing, so Ken Norton, everyone wants to fire Ken Norton. Ken Norton's record this year is 6-2. If we're going to use Pete Carroll's record, Ken Norton is 6-2. Darrell Bevell was 72-39 with Russell Wilson. He was a winning offensive coordinator, and they fired him because he wasn't doing his job. So you can't give me win-loss record, but then fire the other guys because you don't feel that they're doing a good job, even though their win-loss record was amazing as well. So like either you're winning in spite of them or with them. And like, by the way, like what Kevin said, they're drafting bad. You don't like the offensive coordinator. You don't like the offensive line coach who fired Cable and Bevel. Ken Norton's doing terrible. Well, all of their bosses and all who hired them is Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll hired all of them. It's Pete Carroll's fault that they're all not doing well, if they're not. Pete Carroll also admitted to the play that cost him the game, the third down play. He called that play. They also had two sources. Now I gotta look it up. But two sources from the Seattle Times and the Athletic, the writers, both said this is Pete Carroll's defense. Period. Yep. It's his. In the locker room, they know it's his. His philosophy has always been offense and defense, be very conservative. Always run the ball on offense, never turn it over. Don't let Russell do a lot until he had to this year. On defense, play a lot of base and never let anything up deep or on the sidelines. Keep everything in the middle. That's what they always do. They still kind of do that nowadays. That works really well in college. It does not work very well in the NFL. It worked in the beginning because Kevin said he had the LOB. You could do whatever you want. You had two coaches get fired from head coaching jobs that got head coaching jobs because they coached the LOB because they suck and the LOB made them look good. Another was Chris Richard, who got fired from the Cowboys because he sucks. And then you hired Ken Norton Jr. Maybe these guys all do suck, but Pete Carroll's not. He had the luxury of having the LOB for years. So like this is Pete Carroll's defense, his whole philosophy. And at USC, it can work when you just rehash guys every 4 years. You get all this monster talent in here. But you can't do that in the NFL. You actually have to coach these guys up and do certain things and scheme adjust. And when Pete Carroll came out and said, we had a great running plan for the Bills, but they didn't run it. I was like, you're an NFL head coach. You have an NFL job. A team cannot do what you want them to do. You have to then adjust to them. And he didn't. The entire game, we're going to keep throwing it. And Pete Carroll's like, well, when are they going to run it? Because I got a good running game plan going. They never did. Why would the Bills ever run the ball? And they didn't. And they embarrassed this coaching staff. I'm not even saying just Pete Carroll in this game. They embarrassed everybody. Oh, yeah. Like, whoever you want to blame on the defense, Pete Carroll, Ken Norton, they blamed anybody who had any part of that defense. All of them were horrible. That was embarrassing. They got outcoached like a mofo. And Sean McVay's coming into town next week. And that's going to be embarrassing probably too.
Okay, so hold on. I've heard both sides here. So I've got a few questions. So, All right. What do you guys want to do right now to try and switch up the defense? Like, you've told me all the problems. How do we solve it at this point?
I would say right now I don't know you can in the middle of the season. I don't know if firing Pete, because again I'll give Pete credit.
Well,
this year,
they're not firing Pete. They just extended him. They're not.
Yeah, I know.
They're not. The issue is Pete did adjust. Pete, the two things I would say in the past is he's letting Russ cook this year, and he's blitzing more. However, it does not excuse the previous 4 years that he just completely wasted this team and wasted all chances they actually had of winning anything. This year, the problem is they're just not playing well enough. Like, I think the Dunbar trade, Dunbar had one good year. You paid him at his highest. You traded, and you're like, everyone's like, oh, he's going to be amazing. And you didn't look at the past. He wasn't actually that good. Firing Ken Norton, I don't think it's good. Like Kevin said, that's a philosophy thing. I don't think that's solving the problem.
Another thing
sorry, go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
Another thing on Dunbar too that I'm starting to kind of wonder, even though he has been hurt, so I like to see him rest up for a little bit. Another reason why his numbers could have been so good in Washington is that the NFC East is a hot pile of shit, and you're going to get. I mean, honestly, there's going to be some players that are going to look really good when they're facing like an old ass Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard, twice a year, and then. Even though the Cowboys, don't get me wrong, have good weapons. But other than that, and then Philly's got they're on their 5th and 6th receivers last year. So it's that kind of makes me wonder if he's just a product of that. But another thing too, that 12s need to realize with this whole fire Kid Norton thing, you wanted to fire, Bevel and stuff like that. And then the next year, we still pound the ball with Brian Schottenheimer. And then when Pete says Russ can cook, everybody's just doesn't realize that, Pete was in charge of the scheming of offense because Pete is anal about not turning the ball over and likes to run the ball college style. Now, for some weird, miraculous reason, people think that Ken Norton has 100% charge of everything. Literally when Bevel's firing proved that Pete has his hand stirring the entire pot. Not saying he controls all of it, but scheming, drafting, and pretty much and a lot of decision playing too is Pete Carroll. And it was proven with Brian Schottenheimer. They ran the ball for the most part last year, and then just had Russ do his thing every now and then. And they're just and everybody's let Russ cook. And Pete's okay, that wasn't shoddy. It wasn't shoddy saying, all right, we're going to let Russ cook. It was Pete. Pete said, we're going to let Russ cook. It wasn't Brian just begging and pleading to Pete, please let me, or excuse me, Pete begging to Brian saying, let, Russ cook. It's his decision. But everybody just was oblivious to that and now wants to fire Ken Norton because the defense is bad. It's it's the same scenario, boys and girls. And honestly, when you look at the O-line too, when Cable left, he went to the Raiders, and now the Raiders have a top 5 O-line. Weird. Huh? I thought it was all on Cable's fault that the O-line sucked balls and we couldn't, pass protect for our lives. And all the running was just because Marshawn was a beast and had run after contact and stuff like that. And now the Raiders have a top 5 online.
So,
okay, hold on.
What would you answer Matthew's question? What would you do to fix the defense?
Okay. Why would I? Okay, sorry, went a little tangent. What would I do to fix the defense? One, in practice, I would just have Jamal Adams one-on-one with DK and be you're going to learn to try to cover, or even with Tyler, because his coverage is god awful. They're going to have to let Trey play for a little bit. And honestly, he did okay against the Bills. That was, I thought Trey had it.
That's for sure.
Yeah. It clearly, we need to see what Dunbar can do when he's rest. Dunbar just hasn't been right. So Dunbar needs to sit and rest. Sorry, excuse me. And hopefully with Shaq coming back, we can just do Trey and Shaq on the sides and then just let, Dunbar have a couple of weeks off, hopefully, if they all stay healthy. And honestly, this whole secondary has just been so injured with Diggs going out for that one game that he got ejected from. Dunbar's been in and out. The whole Shaq concussion. Jamal Adams being gone for 5 games.
Ugo being out.
Ugo's gone. Blair's gone. It's hard to get chemistry from a unit that just molded together that only really had 2 pieces of Trey, and Trey wasn't even going to be a starter. It was literally Shaq and Diggs who came in last year that had like a little bit of chemistry together. Like you bring in a brand new Lance Dunbar, you bring in a brand new Jamal Adams, who is not new to their, scheming systems and like that. And you're bringing in Blair, who's a safety to play corner for you. Like it takes time, as we already mentioned in the earlier podcast.
No preseason either this year.
No preseason.
Yeah,
to mold that together. Like, and everybody just thinks that like talent's just going to go, boop, we're good. Like, no, it takes time to build chemistry. And like, as I was kind of arguing on Twitter online for the reason for the pass rush hasn't been healthy and stuff, and why I want to see these boys play. Like, everybody just has this concept because they're so spoiled with the Legion of Boom that like when we draft a player, they expect TJ Watt right off the bat. Like, if he doesn't get 10 sacks and get produce pressure, he sucks. Get off of him. And it's like, in the NFL, boys and girls, it takes a minimum to 2 to 3 years of 16 games starting in order to see what you got in a player. But everybody like in Seattle just wants to kick a guy off after like 8 games just because they haven't seen like TJ Watt star stats. Like, I don't get it. Like, you got to let them get the reps. Like, they have to learn what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. Now, you also have to have the coaching staff be able to recognize that. And that's kind of what a key thing is too. Like, is Ken Norton and Pete, whoever, seeing what they're doing wrong and getting them right on that. That's another thing, because then it's just pointless if they're not pointing out what they're doing wrong and they're just, saying, oh, this is okay. You'll get it, eventually and stuff like that. So, because the whole discussion on bring the Falcons guy, I forgot his name in.
Takk McKinley.
Yeah. No, Takk McKinley. Yeah. Fuck
sorry.
Quinn.
Fuck
Takk
Quinn.
McKinley.
We're not getting Quinn. Don't
No,
do that.
everybody wants Gus
we're not even it's a waste of
you
time.
guys,
He is
like,
do not
the 12th man are being Pete Carroll at this moment. They literally want to just take old like Seahawk nostalgia coaches and bring them back, and they think it's going to work. Like, it's like they don't have the Legion of Boom. So it's not going to work, boys and girls. You can bring back all of them. You can bring back Gus Bradley, Dan Quinn, and Chris Richard and put them all in a 3-person pod of defensive coordinator. And it's not going to work because you don't have the Legion of Boom back there. That's why. Like, it's just not going to work. They sucked ass elsewhere and they got fired elsewhere because they didn't have the crazy talent and the crazy depth that they had in 2012 and 2013. Like, that's why they're not employed. Well, technically Gus is, but he's probably going to be fired after this year.
So I got another question. So you guys have mentioned that it's Pete's defense, Legion of Boom, covered up all of his stuff. Russell, it's been Russell all this time. How much do you believe that first of all, how much do you believe that it's the offense goes through Russ or through the coordination? It's just kind of like a Tom Brady, Bill Belichick question. Like, who was really the catalyst there? Is it the Bill Belichick with the schemes and the strategy, or is it the guy actually out there on the field doing the work? Because, Sean, you mentioned that this is Russell Wilson since he's got here. I mean, those first years that Russell was here, we were a run-first team, and he was a Jimmy Garoppolo game manager. But was he not? Am I wrong there?
You didn't have to have him do anything else. That's why they're winning games. Mm-hmm. The moment the defense started going, you should have just been like, Russell, go do your thing. Imagine what Russell looks like right now, because he didn't like suddenly get better in a shortened COVID year with the Legion of Boom. Like, he's been this capability for a long. You see, if everyone again, and I'm going to talk about this. The Seahawks fans have a complex with Patrick Mahomes. Stop talking about Patrick Mahomes. Every time Russell does something, you don't need to bring up him. But if we want to bring him up, he's been great. He won an MVP his second year actually playing. So if you think Russell's better than Patrick Mahomes, then why didn't you let Russell throw his second year? Because Russell should have been able to prove that he could do that. And I think he could. So I think it was them holding back. Like, yes, you had Marshawn, but it was his philosophy that kept holding him back. Let him go. Let him do his thing. We see with Bill Belichick's the situation. Bill Belichick's the defensive coach. He's not the offensive coach.
Okay, well, like, it's the same thing with Bill Belichick. Like, that defense last year rocked, like, crushed, like, unbelievable. And now you see that he doesn't have the players. Like, Hightower's out and a few other guys are out, and they're not the same.
Well,
they're not the same.
They've had a couple
injuries,
or
is it the scheme?
They've had a couple injuries and 8 guys opt out for COVID. So it's a very unique year. Like, they had 2 of the best
Seahawks
guys
have been banged up as well. So
no, but like before the season started. But the issue with them is like That's a whole different monster. Like defense year in and year out is very hard to duplicate because a lot of what people were saying the New England's defense actually wasn't that good last year because they were getting turnovers. Turnovers are not easily like year in and year out. They're fluid. They do not keep coming every year. You lead the league in turnovers one year, you probably won't the next year. Like the Bears defense, you see it every year in fantasy football. The number one defense is drafted. The Bears, they're going to be awesome, and then they suck. Or then at fantasy, or the Bears. The Bears that year, 2 years ago, when they made the playoffs, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're fucking awesome," and then they sucked the next year at fantasy because it's so hard when you're turnover dependent as a defense. It doesn't translate year in and year out, except for teams like the Seattle Seahawks, which was one of the all-time great defenses for 4 years. They were just absolute monsters. Like Kevin said, someone's like, "Well, this Seahawks team did it." Well, they're the exception to the rule. They're not the norm. Like whenever someone says, well, the Patriots are winning Super Bowls doing it this way, they're the exception, not the norm. Not every other team is going to be able to do it that way. There's a standard way in which you should go about doing something versus the exceptional way. Not every team should be shooting to be the LOB because there's only going to be one, or like there's only going to be one Purple People Eaters and the LOB, or the Ravens early 2000 defenses. Like they're not out of the place. Like teams have a good defense one year. Look at Minnesota. Like year in and year out, they always come and go. So defenses, and then Cam Newton's been terrible for that team too. Like he's been absolutely terrible. He has thrown 2 touchdown passes this year.
He's not really being asked to throw though, so that's a different story.
They gone on a game-winning field goal against the Jets. Cam Newton is bad. Like he's playing very bad. I mean, and he threw for 450 yards against the Seahawks. So let's just throw that.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Seahawks defense has been bad this year, and I mean, Cam's been he was an MVP one year, but outside of that, he was an
MVP for a fluke reason. But to answer your question, I will say it's injuries, like Kevin said, that's really gutting them, and it's the scheme. That is the two things you need to fix as the defense.
So would you be okay with, like, I mean, obviously it's probably not going to happen, but would you be okay with Pete being like, okay, Ken, call the plays? Would that be simple enough for you, or is it just going to be like... I
just want one of them, and I don't need Pete going in there, but I need, like, them on the same page coming into a game. And if something's not going right, because Pete's like, we plan on them running, you need to adjust faster than by the end of the game. Like, they're only passing. Let's change something up. Let's do something. Versus, like, let's just keep chugging away and try to do the same thing.
And the fact that I believe that it's Pete, if you go back and look at the footage, the one thing that we know is Pete's very conservative, and Pete does not like being beat over the top.
Yep.
Now, if you look at our 3rd and 8s against them, look at our corners being off their players by 10 to 15 yards because they don't want to get beaten over the top. Like, that just literally tells me that Pete is running it. Like,
he might not call the plays, but he's calling the scheme.
Yeah,
like he's telling them how to.
Exactly. Yeah. He's just like, he's saying, I want corners. Like he's like, I don't want to get beat over top. Call a play. Like, and it's just, and it doesn't matter. And we're getting beat by it because they're getting 10, 15 yards first down. But it's, we just got to change something. Like,
if you're asking me, I'm thinking you guys mentioned the base defense. Like, we need to get away from this base defense mantra, and we need to mix up our schemes and mix up our looks because we're too predictable at this point. Everyone knows what's going to happen, and it's too easy to pick apart. I mean, you guys can, I don't know what you guys think of Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is a pretty decent quarterback. His weapons are pretty solid. So he just had a field day because they studied the film. They knew exactly what to do to beat them. And they did it. Like, it wasn't hard for them. They just ran the game plan. Like that play that you mentioned, you kind of mentioned, where Dunbar is like 15 yards back, and they just throw a little bubble screen, and they get down to like the goal line, basically. Like, where are you? Why are you all the way back there? Like, that's just poor defensive management right there. There's also got to be a little bit of mixture of zone and man. Like, Beasley sitting in the middle of the zone, or John Brown sitting in the middle of the zone, or Tyler Kroft is sitting in the middle of the zone. Like, I mentioned the dink and dunk last week, and he had his way. He could dink and dunk all he wanted because KJ or Bobby would just be sitting on the side in their little zone and, over the top, you don't want to get beat, but they just kept getting beat. So it's also, I mean, there's talent on this defense, right? Like, these guys need to step up.
I will say Pete was right in one thing. I saw a bunch of times where they're running zone and 2 guys are in the same area. They're not. So there is something that the players do need to be held accountable, because there's when we go over some plays later, there's guys where they're just like 4 guys are covering 2 guys and 2 guys are just running wide open. I'm like, what are you all doing? Like,
to their defense at the moment too, they did have pretty much 3.5 corners down. Like Blair,
one was the 49er guy they just picked up, who was playing nickel corner, who was just like, I don't know what I'm covering.
Like Blair's out for the season, Ugo's gone, Shaq's out, Dunbar's like half pretty much. He was gimping out there. So it's like they can't, and the reason why you didn't really see much man-to-man during this game is because literally you're on your backups, and I don't think Pete trusts them to go one-on-one with, you know, a Stephon Diggs.
But Matthew said you got to mix it up. You can't.
They weren't trusting him,
and they were just killing us for it every game.
Exactly. You have to put it in there at times to keep that offense on their heels, and I fully agree with that. But Pete's just lack of confidence in a lot of things and lack of talent evaluation. Because even like Ryan Neal, not saying Ryan Neal is like a spectacular, but he is a star that kind of, not a star, but like a solid player that we didn't even know about. Like, give these guys a chance. See what your depth has. Like, if they get beat over the top, it doesn't matter. You're already getting your ass whipped anywho. So just try it. Like, give them a chance to where they can make a play for you.
To Matthew's point, we got 7 sacks, and Josh Allen still didn't even look phased at all.
No, yeah,
like
they were out like 3 of their O linemen.
He
didn't care.
He did not care.
He didn't give a damn.
Yeah, I like we've talked about all year. Like Bobby and KJ. I mean, this game, I would say is an outlier, but for the most part, I think they played pretty well. I'm not super worried about that position. We've talked about the pass rush. Carlos Dunlap does help. So
he played pretty. He had a solid game.
He played pretty well.
What I saw. Yeah.
And you know, the pass rush, like I think we're just gonna have to cycle through and like keep guys fresh and try and get to the quarterback. And you know, I mean, 7 sacks, like we said, is, you know, when you lose 44-33, it's not great. But I like the sacks. It's just the secondary. Like there just needs to be some sort of gut check. Like someone in the room, like Jamal, like be a leader, step up and say, guys, we need like. I saw him on the sideline talking to Pete. Like, you need to say this to your own guys. Like, we're professionals here. Like,
somebody needs to say it to Jamal Adams. He needs to cover somebody.
Yeah.
Fair enough. He needs to check himself too.
Yeah.
Whoever is running or I'm just gonna say it's Pete, but I'm gonna say whoever for the 12s for that. Whoever's running like this whole week, like I'm putting Jamal Adams. Like we're not even practicing blitzes. Like he's already got that. We know it.
Yeah, he's very good at that.
Like I'm be like. You're going to be on Mr. DK Metcalf over here and try to keep up. Like, pretty much, that's what we're going to do. I know you're not going to be able to. Or even, like I said, even Tyler, or just be like, play coverage. We're going to clean up your crap because it's literally crap back there, and we're not going to, we don't want to pay you in 2 years.
He was limping over too. Is he still hurt? Like, is that?
Yeah, I saw that too. Toward like in the 3rd or 4th, he was kind of like, he's kind of.
And if that's the case, he needs to not be playing because he's a liability back there.
Yeah.
And my only other solution besides, you know, you figure it out and check yourselves is like, you guys are saying Pete's calling the plays. So like Pete, you know, he let Russ cook this year, which is not normal for him. I think Pete is going to have to, you know, it probably won't happen, but he's going to have to take a look at himself. And in a sense, you know, like in hockey, when you pull the goalie and put a new one in, I think Pete needs to pull himself and give Ken the play calling duties and just see what happens. Because at this point, you are one of the worst defenses in the league. And something needs to change, or I mean,
you're not going anywhere.
You're not. Yeah, you just like you can't expect to win all these like shootouts every time. Like it's just.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago when they lost Arizona. You can't make Russell be 100% perfect. You can't have Russell be like just be perfect, and like that's not fair for anybody. Like no one's gonna be perfect, and if your whole game plan is one guy be perfect, granted the most important position, but still, it's not a sustainable. You can't sustain that, especially in the playoffs.
But if he's not perfect, you probably lose.
That's what I'm saying. Like if he's not perfect, that's not fair to Russell in the playoffs. Like, and everyone's gonna be like, well, Russell didn't play well. I'm like, well, yeah, but like at some point, someone on the defense has to do something, like anything, help him out, make a play, get a turnover, get anywhere near somebody. Like
that's what this defense has been based off of this year, is just getting turnovers and getting the ball in the Russell's hands, which has kind of kept them in games and has won them games. And everything else has just been dog shit. Like, and we saw this game, they had 0 turnovers and Russell got pressured to where he had 4 turnovers. And that's going to be the result. And it's going to happen again. Like, honestly, they need to figure something out. And it's not all on, like, even with Carson now, like, you don't need Carson back to do it. Like Dallas was running fine. You can set up screenplays if Russell's under pressure, if they're blitzing on him, like, set up a screen. Like, that's literally what they did to us. Like, there's other options, to where it's not all in Russell's hands, so to speak, even though you want it to be, because that's your main guy. You're paying him $80 million and he's your superstar. But, like, you can't be living on a prayer with him the whole time. So,
yep. And I've got one last question before we close out this topic. We're 40 minutes in, and I think we spent like 35 on this. You guys mentioned, this is, Pete hasn't drafted well. He's been doing all this sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Do you think that without Pete being the coach these last 12 years, there would be as much success if the talent were still the same?
Yes,
I think there'd be more.
We would have been more Super Bowls and more higher playoff.
Like, if
are you saying?
I'm not saying we're going to Super Bowl.
Would have had more Super Bowls.
If we had Andy Reid, we'd have more Super Bowls.
Even like a decent moderate coach, like,
is Pete not a decent moderate coach? I don't see any reason.
I'll say above average. I'll say he's average, and I'll say you need an above average coach.
I would say Pete is average.
He's very average. Yes.
I mean, I hear what you guys are saying. I mean, as a Seahawks fan my entire life, I feel like I would not trade these last 10 years in.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
I know. But
I don't care about Dennis Erickson's effect on this team.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, the personnel it might not have been the same. So a different head coach coming in, you can't say for sure that there would have been any better results than what you've gotten over the last 11 years. Could you imagine this year
Russell with the LOB?
Well, yeah, but
imagine
Pete,
that.
But isn't Pete the one that picked Russell?
The rumor is John Snyder wanted Russell, and Pete Carroll wanted Andy Dalton. Is how that went.
Okay, well, first of all, Andy Dalton, solid person. Football player, different story. But
that's how the rumor goes. Like, John Snyder was banging the drum for Russell Wilson.
So, I mean, in the terms of the drafting, then you've got to throw some blame on John Schneider as well. Like, you can't just throw it all on Pete Carroll.
And that's why I say same kind of with the Kim Norton. I'm not like super. Well, I was kind of like the in between. I'm very critical on Pete Carroll, but I want to understand that Kevin's very fire Pete Carroll, which I totally get. And you're saying, you're on Pete Carroll's side. I lean towards
I'm not
Kevin.
saying I'm on Pete Carroll's side. Let me tell you that.
I say I lean towards Kevin, but I'm saying, like, it is hard for us to 100% say, like, this is all Pete's fault on defense and this is all Ken Norton's fault. That's all I'm saying for people on Twitter is, like, it's somewhere in the middle, guys. Like, Pete Carroll's not blame here, or especially in the drafting, because we're in a very interesting situation with the draft, because John Snyder's the GM, but Pete Carroll's his boss and ultimately has the final say on who they draft. So I don't exactly know how the relationship works on every pick, and they say it comes and goes. So I don't know who's deciding who picked DK. I don't know who picked these other guys. Who picked Collier. I don't know. But, like, John, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I were to get rid of somebody, I'd get rid of Pete first and then see who John actually is by himself.
Or even then, too, like, and I already kind of mentioned it on Twitter, like, the fact that they extended him 5 years and you haven't even replaced Pete or Paul Allen, like ownership is in kind of like it's with the sister, and like we don't know if she's going to continue on or pass the buck somewhere else. Like, what the heck are we, like, especially if you're going to eventually sell this team, in the future. You literally just locked up Pete Carroll for 5 years. It's like, why? The fact that I think not only do you not have to get rid of Pete Carroll, but you could just take away his power. Like, he just has too much. Like, distribute that power a little bit more, and then I'd like to see, like, what could happen. But the fact that he has so much power.
Let's get some legislative branching here. Let's get some checks and balances. Let's get some,
For me, for me with Pete, it's the extension isn't so much like a problem of the whole system. My biggest issue is Pete is almost 70. NFL coaches are getting younger and younger. Sean McVay is like the same age as some of his players. And like you guys said, we're playing a 1984 style. We need to get...
Not this year, though. Again, give him credit. Not this year.
Fine. Not this year.
Yeah.
But I just want someone new in there, someone who can give like some sort of fresh jolt to the franchise. And, I mentioned culture earlier, but I don't think that's necessarily Pete Carroll's culture altogether. I think it's more of a overall Seahawks culture, but I just don't like signing a guy who is almost turning 70 to a 5-year
He is
extension. Now, I
70.
think the main reason is because Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll are a package deal, it seems like at this point. Like,
Well, if
you cannot have one
if it
without the other, it seems
if it
like.
results in keeping Russell, then you have to. But the issue
Yeah.
was why the whole cooking thing started was the rumor was Russell threatened to leave if they didn't let him cook.
And
That was the rumor.
And the reason why I'm upset with Pete is, as I've already mentioned in previous podcasts, we saw that Russ could cook after the 2016 season when literally we picked up the practice squad running back from the 49ers to be our starting running back.
Is that Thomas
Like,
Rawls?
No, it was some other random dude with like long hair, and he had like some Native American.
Was that Eddie
like,
Lacy?
last
No,
name.
that was 2 years ago.
No.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
But like that was the year that when we got rid of Christian Michael and he went off to the Packers, and then like all our backs just died. And then like Doug Baldwin had over 1,000 yards receiving and like 14 touchdowns.
Yeah, Russell had his
Like,
best year.
Yeah, like Russell's just going crazy back there, just throwing the ball around to Doug Baldwin and like Curse and everybody. Like, it's like you literally had a sample size, like you saw that Russell could take control of this and have that as his team, and then go get him weapons further on, which they kind of did with, I think they drafted Tyler the next year.
Tyler's been on the team for longer than that. For in the 16,
2016, I think is when
I think
he
he
got
was
drafted,
2016.
Yeah. So that might have been his rookie year, but like literally, like he literally showed that year, and then the next year you went back to running the ball, and then you draft. There was like, I don't know if that was that year or the year after, when they drafted 3 running backs, and I was just like, what the hell are we doing? Like, that it just is frustrating to me and just shows lack of him wanting to change. Now, I'm glad he eventually did, but the fact that you wasted so much of Russell's prime, not saying that he's over the hill yet, but he's getting to that point. Like,
can I not ever hear ever again online somebody saying like, you're not an NFL coach, what do you know? That implies that the 32 best GMs and 32 best people on the planet are the head coaches and GMs. I know that for a fact that someone in this podcast, all 3 of us could probably be a better coach than Adam Gase is right now. Like, that team's terrible.
Yeah. Like,
my team,
as
could
I've
be
already mentioned in this podcast,
0-9. Like, go sign me up. I'll take half his salary. I could be 0-9. Like, but like
this game was. Go ahead.
No, like, but the example is I go to baseball. The drive line, which is like revolutionizing baseball, pitchers and everything like that, was developed by a high school JV coach with PVC pipe. And he changed baseball because people were like, oh, this is how you do pitching. And we're MLB coaches. And a guy in PVC pipes like over here is like, no, this is how you do it. And everyone's like, oh, crap, we better figure this out. Like, innovation comes from all over the place. Like, you saying that you're not an NFL coach and you don't know anything is just ridiculous. And these are the same people who criticize the Mariners every year. Like, oh, the Mariners made a terrible call. I'm like, well, you're not a Mariners head coach. How do you know? You can't say stuff like that. So yes, it is within your right to criticize people, even though you do not coach in the NFL. Stop saying stupid things like that.
All right.
I'm done. That's my last one.
Well, we are 45 minutes in. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to take a look at the rest of the NFC West right after this.
Fire Ken Norton.
And we're back after those brief commercial messages that you should probably listen to. So, in the rest of the NFC West, on almost a week ago on Thursday, the Green Bay Packers went to the Bay Area and absolutely clobbered the San Francisco 49ers. Nick Mullins was not good. I don't know even if they put in CJ Beathard. I turned the game off after like the second quarter.
I think the 49ers did too.
Yeah. So that was not good. And then on Sunday, I mean, man, the Miami Dolphins are very good against the NFC West. Tua.
I keep saying that every week.
Tua and that team defeated Kyler Murray 34-31. Now, granted, if Kyler could kick the ball, I think he probably would have made that field goal and they might have won in overtime. But nonetheless, Arizona had a chance to take the division lead and did not. So thank you, Tua. And we will be sending you a gift basket here shortly. But guys, what did you think of the 49ers and the Cardinals this week?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I mean, the 49ers case, they're beat to hell. I mean, I'm not going to really go
still
into
a shot
detail.
at the playoffs, though.
And then they had like
over,
And then 2 or 3 of their receivers were on COVID lists. So like it was their 5th and 6th string receivers that they're starting, which was kind of impressive because one of them led the league in receiving this week. So that was kind of nutty. But
They're gonna go to New Orleans this week. Oh god.
Yeah, they're gonna get murdered. Especially now that they have Sanders and Thomas back. So it's
I don't think that's gonna happen, but we'll see.
You think the 49ers win that game?
49ers. I thought you said Tua. I was going to the Saints.
No. The 49ers.
The 49ers are going to get murdered. Absolutely.
That's why I'm saying the 49ers season's probably over because this is their tough part of the schedule, and they still might have a shot, but this is like their tough part is right now.
Yeah. And then they still also have to play Arizona again and us again.
They play the Rams and then Bills in a row after that. So
Good luck. So I'm not going to go much into detail. We already know they're beaten up to hell. They just have injuries galore. Not much they can really do. Well, they'll probably come back strong next year if they can stay healthy, and we should look out for them. Especially the crazy part is too, like this is going to get them like a top 10 pick, and they're just going to add on to the craziness.
I don't know top 10 because the NFC East is going to clean out the top 10.
That's true. Yeah, I mean they're still going to probably have like top 15 though. That's going to be kind of nutty. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Arizona, that was kind of interesting. Like everybody's kind of sleeping on the Miami Dolphins. Like their special teams and defense is really good. Like they put so much money into it. Like Byron Jones, Kyle Van Noy, even though he's hurt. Shaq Lawson, as we've already mentioned, like their defense is good, and their special teams too is probably I think they're DVOA like number 1.
What is?
Their special teams. Dolphin special teams.
The Dolphins? Oh yeah.
I think they're top 5 at least in special teams. But we'll get into that later. But
they're number 2.
Number 2, yeah. Like I said,
they're number 10 team right now in DOVA total.
Yeah, like they have decent. Like Parker and Williams are good receivers. They have good tight ends. The surprise running back out of University of Washington. We don't name him. It's like Voldemort.
Sorry.
You don't say his name. So as long as they stay healthy, like
I miss Jake Locker, but anyway. So
they haven't honestly with 3 teams coming in, and then the whole thing that you tweeted, Matt, about a possible 4 teams going in if games are canceled. Like Dolphins have a real shot at making a wild card, I believe. I think the Bills are still going to take that division.
Absolutely.
But I'm interested to see that second game between Bills and Dolphins. That's going to be like a heck of a game.
That's not entirely over though. There's like a 1.5 game separating them.
Yeah. And like I said, the Bills have had, the Rams almost came back on them.
The Bills are so far the luckiest team in football.
Well, we did say at the beginning of the season that game was going to be, I think I predicted them to lose that game in the beginning of the season. I think I changed it last week.
With the AFC the way it is, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins make a wild card or win the division. So we'll kind of see it. Tua just has to kind of stay clean and just not do
watch your
mistakes.
Hip.
Oh, gosh.
And then Rams were on a bye, right?
Yep, Rams were on a bye.
Okay. Yeah. So, that's what I thought. Pretty much.
Sean, any thoughts?
Yeah, 49ers are done. They look kind of like a team defeated. They looked like the Seahawks. The Seahawks when they played the Rams a couple years ago, they just the injuries caught up. They can't do it anymore. It's time to pack it up. And then the Cardinals are kind of the same thing. They're young, so they look really good, and they look not very good time to time. But Tua started to look like the real deal against that defense. So I think it was more of they played a really good young guy as well, getting hot when it mattered. And I think the Dolphins got a little lucky in that game too. I think if they play that game more, I think the Cardinals probably win that more often than they lose that. And I'm not even referring to the kick. I just meant kind of like the general, like some bounces kind of went certain way. So, but the Dolphins are good, and the Cardinals are, they're still a pretty good team. They're still a pretty good team. I wouldn't look too much into losing a field goal game.
Just a couple other results to point out.
The Jets almost won.
No, that's not what I wanted to point out.
They scored more than 11 points. They did do that.
Congratulations. So
let me coach the Jets. Is all I'm saying. Just let me coach the Jets.
So I do want to say that in New Orleans at Tampa Bay, New Orleans did not look good early, but I think they might have been pretty banged up as well. Man, do they look pretty good in that game with Michael Thomas back, like full strength. The Saints, I might be eating my words later in the playoffs or something about what I said about them, but we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But also, the only undefeated team left is the Steelers, and I just wanted to ask you guys, like, are they the best team in football? Not take records out of this. Do you think they are the best team in football at this moment in time?
No. I don't think they're the best team in the AFC.
I would agree with that as well.
Man, that's hard.
I would say Chiefs are still the top dog, and the Steelers are second, though. They are. I would say second.
it's KC's one, and then Pittsburgh and Baltimore are kind of like they're.
Baltimore has approved it to me at this point. Like Lamar Jackson.
They lost by like what?
Yeah, but Lamar Jackson cannot get it done. He cannot get it done.
In the playoffs, is that what you're referring to?
I mean, in general, if you get 13-3, like win a playoff game. Come on.
It's kind of hard for me. I think Pittsburgh and Kansas City are kind of like 1A, 1B, just because Pittsburgh has a way better defense. Not to say now, Kansas City still has a top 10 defense right now, which is kind of surprising to see.
Kansas City's the 13th in DOVA at least.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pittsburgh has 2.
Yeah, that, and then they just added on to that defense as well. They traded to get that linebacker. What's his name? I can't remember his name at the moment. But defensively, they're very good, and they have the talent on offense. It's just they've been kind of struggling a little bit because Ben's getting older. But we've also seen what that team is without a quarterback like Ben. I think what they should do next year is go up and get one of those 3 quarterbacks, either Fields, oh my God, LSU. I'm not LSU.
Trevor Lawrence.
They could go up. Trevor Lawrence. They could go up there and get one of those. I don't know. That's gonna cost a lot to go up there.
But with Ben being hurt all the time, and he went out this game, and we saw what happened when he was out, and then he came back and actually kind of, you need a quarterback. Like, honestly, you might have to do like an RG3 type of deal, but like you have what you need on defense to carry a new quarterback for the next 2 to 3 years. And you have weapons in Juju, this Claypool kid who's a rookie, Nate Washington, who I'm still a fan of, and a good running back, a solid running back in James Conner. And Snell's a decent running back.
I don't know. We saw that team without Ben last year, and it was not. It was
horrible. Yeah, like this team this year is now 8-0 with Ben playing, and they probably would have gone 7-1 had Ben not come back.
They're basically an average offense though, like this year. Mm-hmm. So they're not great.
If you put like a Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence is what Trevor Lawrence is in that offense, though, like I think that could be a number 1 team right off the bat.
Like Matthew said, though, you're taking a gamble on. Is Trevor Lawrence an NFL quarterback?
Yeah, that's true. I know. I mean, you're doing that with every quarterback that you did. Yeah. But
let's put it this way, though. The Pittsburgh has played 2 good teams and won by a combined 7 points.
Yeah, and that's what should happen. Like you should be blowing out good teams.
No, they're not blowing them out. They're barely beating the good teams. Yeah. So I'm like saying, we're not like they're blowing out the bad teams, but like to say that they're clearly this top tier team, like one bounce and they lose either of these games. So it's like
when we played the Chiefs, we beat them by a touchdown. That was it. Like, yeah, it's
because the Chiefs were a better team than us at that time. I'm just got news for you.
Well, no, I'm saying I agree with you as well. But like when 2 top teams go against each other, like it shouldn't be like a 40-10 game. Like it's going to be close, is what it should be, unless someone gets hurt.
Unless you're the Bills and playing the top teams, then you get slaughtered.
The only difference was last year with the Niners and the Packers. Like that was just a slaughter. Like
or like the game Matthew just brought up, the Saints and Bucks.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to looking at next week. The Seahawks will be at home against the Los Angeles. Or no, sorry. They're in Los Angeles. Sorry. Yeah. At the new stadium in Los Angeles, not in Seattle. 1:25 start time. Last 5 meetings have been pretty much all Rams, except for the October 3rd game
where they missed a kick. Yep. Hell yeah!
And you know what? I'll take it. because the Seahawks lead the all-time series 24-20. Although, like I said, 4 of the last 5 have gone to the Rams. So, they had a bye week. They're probably feeling pretty fresh. So, what do you guys see in this matchup? You guys always mention Sean McVay has Pete Carroll's number. Is it any different this week? Sean?
I think it will be a little different because my biggest issue in the past has always been they just play such, like Kevin says, predictable base defense. They leave a linebacker on Woods in the slot, which is like the most infuriating thing ever. This year, they even when they don't have a healthy nickel corner, they're playing whoever they got, like practice squad guys, whatever they got. At least it's a corner playing in the slot. So I mean, I have hope that they'll at least like adjust a little bit to what the Rams have been doing, because the Rams really don't do a whole lot of things different than they've been doing in the past. It just seems to keep working against some teams. Their receivers are very good. Woods, Cup, Reynolds, they're 3 very good receivers. Their O-line is actually playing a little better, which sucks to hear. And so like, that's going to be terrible. I think it's going to be a high scoring game again. 38-35. I gotta say Rams. I don't see. I have such a hard time picking the Seahawks to beat the Rams because of my past traumas with this team. But I will say again, they're at least doing the thing this year that I would say adjust. Play nickel and blitz him, please. Get in Goff's face, make him actually make a decision. If he makes a decision, he's terrible, and then you should be able to eat on that defense all day.
Did you make a prediction there? Did you just make a prediction?
38-35.
Okay.
Rams.
All right. Kevin,
stay with
Aaron
Donald. Please be nice to Russell Wilson.
God, don't murder him. Yeah. Man, after what we saw last week, like, I think Sean McVay is probably just going to do the same thing. Now, as a Seahawks fan, you have a couple of hopes here, and I'm going to mention them. One, Jared Goff is absolutely nowhere near as mobile as Josh Allen is. So he's going to take a fuck ton of sacks. Though they have a little bit better O-line than the Bills, I still think we're going to get probably at least 3 sacks, if not more. And you got to be, it doesn't even need to be sacks. Like, it needs to be quick pressure. Like, don't let Jared Goff have 4 seconds in the pocket. Like, you need to be up in his face and quick. And that was kind of one of the problems with the Bills. Like, yeah, we got to him and stuff like that, but a lot of times they were like late sacks. Like Josh Allen had all day. Like, you need to be in his face within 3 to 4 seconds and make to where like he doesn't really have time to make more than one read. Another thing you have going for you is Cooper Kupp has played like shit this whole year, other than the game before.
You're gonna bring him out of the woodwork by saying that. You know.
I know. Okay. And I hate doing that, like I said, because I'm an Eagle from Eastern. So your kind of hope is just you cover, like, you double Robert Woods and then pray to God that Cooper Kupp just sucks. But
they got tight ends though, and we can't cover tight ends either. So
that's true. Higbee is very.
You can't cover anybody. Why are we? Yeah. In the past, that was a thing. Now we just can't cover anybody.
We can't cover anybody. Linemen, coaches, anybody.
You gotta pray for turnovers in this game. Like, we need to win the turnover.
I think we will get turnovers in this game. I think we're gonna turn over Goff.
Here's a stat. Mm-hmm. So the Seahawks have held the Sean McVay Rams below 28 points one time in their entire time. That team had Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, Michael Bennett, Frank Clark, Cam Chancellor, Coleman. The past games have been 42, 33, 36, 29, 28 points. And one of those games, they didn't score 30 because they missed a field goal at the end of the game. So he puts up 30 every single game against the Seahawks. So, like Kevin said, like, the only chance you really have below that is a lot of turnovers, getting in his face.
Now, on the other end, this Rams defense hasn't been nearly as good as what it should be. Now, hopefully they don't get their shit figured together out on this bye week and come and just put it in our face. You got to respect Aaron Donald. And that's what I'm worried about too. If Aaron Donald gets loose with the way Russell's played scared, like once he gets hit, like that kind of worries me a little bit. Like, Russell's been really scared this year, and I don't know why.
Sunday too.
Yeah. I really don't know why he's playing. I get it. He's more of it's on his hands, and he's probably nervous because of it. And that's another reason small tangent, why you should have started letting Russ cook after the 2016 season. So literally he'd be built for this by now, because this is his first year cooking. So he's going to have growing pains on it. I still think we're going to poop on this defense down. I think DK and Tyler and everybody's just going to kind of go crazy. I mean, we have yet to not drop more than 30 points. I think
we average 34
less.
a game.
Yeah. So,
but we give up 30. So
we give up.
Yeah.
Man, it's and
The
the thing
lowest
is
we
too.
the lowest we got was 27 against Minnesota.
I think we could have a change. We have this weird history of when we get our asses absolutely whooped, we just come back and just dominate. I don't know why, but I have a feeling this is going to be the one time exception where we don't. And I
thought you were going to say we do. I was hoping.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
I was hoping.
And I'm going to prepare 12 fans are 12th man is going to freak out. I'm going to make that prediction right now. 12s are going to have no idea what the hell to do after this game. Like, they're going to freak out. We're going to be, I think we're going to lose. I think we're going to be 6-3, and we're going to lose against Arizona too.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
And that's the thing too. We'll kind of, because we'll have a short week. Score, I'm going to say, is going to be 40-36.
Okay.
Matthew,
Rams.
before you go, here's what the ratings are. The Seahawks are the 8th team. Rams are the 9th. Offense is Seahawks is the 4th ranked offense. The Rams are the 5th. Defense, Seahawks 24 and the Rams 8. So their special teams has been the second to worst though in football. So attack their special teams, I guess. But
I'm super interested to see the random rage takes after this game, after we lose this game, because there's going to be like everybody's just going to go into the bag and just pull out random crap from their butt. Like, I'll let Matt go.
Okay,
you've had a lot of poop talk today.
Yeah.
When I look at this game, okay, so at the beginning of the season, I predicted that the NFC West will be a home field thing, and I am not going to stray away from that today. The Rams are going to be at home. I'm going to pick them to win. Looking at both sides of the ball, Rams on offense, can we just take the Dolphins game film tape and just like try and copy that as much as possible? Because Jared Goff,
personnel.
I know we probably don't have the personnel, but we know how to stop them. If you can get to Jared Goff, if you can make him
do anything other than time
shiver in his
routes,
cleats,
yeah.
he's ineffective and he's just like he crumbles. He crumbles under the pressure. I still think that Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee, they're going to get theirs. I see no problem with that, but I do think the Seahawks will be able to turn over Goff. I'm going to say 3 times in this game. I think 2 picks and a fumble is fairly reasonable. Now, that being said, I think that they will do enough to win the game. Seahawks on offense, like you guys said, the defense for the Rams isn't that, in my opinion, Sean mentioned the ranking of 8th. I'm not scared of it. The only person I'm scared of is Aaron Donald. And I think the Seahawks, or I really hope the Seahawks, will game plan as much to try and stop him from getting to Russ as possible, and just, hope he can cook as much as possible. I agree with Kevin. Like, DK is going to roll. I have Tyler Lockett in fantasy. Come on, Tyler. Like, give me
he might eat
a
more
good
because
game
their number 2 and nickel corner have been terrible this year. So
yeah, come on.
I think that's
like, he's gotten under 10 points these last 2 games, and it's no bueno. So I think Tyler will have a bounce back game. I think most of the targets in Russell's arsenal, David Moore will have another big game. I think Hollister and Olsen and Disley will all get a few catches here and there. And even the running backs, DJ Dallas, Travis Homer, will get a few catches, probably even more carries than they probably should. But ultimately, I do think that the Rams will turn over Russ a few times as well. So I think it'll probably be an even push on the turnover battle, 3-3. And, the Seahawks have scored they average 34 points a game. I see them getting around there as well in this one. The Rams offense is averaging 24 points a game. They're going to do better than that this time. And you guys are all predicting high scores, and I want to be around you, but I don't want to pick the same thing.
It's okay. We all think that every Seahawks game is going to be $1 billion to $1 billion.
I'm going to go I'm going to go game-winning field goal, 41-40 Rams. That's what I'm going to say.
I think Russell, unlike Matthew, will play pretty well, but it will come down to a game-winning field goal, which the Rams make this time.
Yeah, I think game-winning field goal, close game. It will be a close game. I don't see it being like the Bills where they just pull ahead and we just have to play catch-up the whole time.
Where a 10-point loss really wasn't even as bad. It was worse than that.
I don't think any team will have more than double-digit lead in this game. I think it will be a hard-fought game throughout the way. But 2 weeks to prepare, I see no reason why the Rams do not win this game, unfortunately. All right, we are at an hour and 10 minutes, so we got about 20 minutes to go through some plays here, Sean. So let me make sure screen sharing is available here. All right, it is available. So we're going to take you through some of this just horrendous game film. Maybe horrendous. Some nice, I'm sure, but
there will be some nice. It's just we're going to hate ourselves.
But yeah, I was fairly disappointed in the game because I started Cole Beasley and Devin Singletary, and neither guy did anything.
I told someone to play Cole Beasley too. It was a good play, but you knew they were going to put up yards. But
the thing was, who is this Davis and this? There was another guy who got a touchdown. Who you're like, who's that? I don't know who that is. So
all right, here we go. So I'm covering this first play. So let me know if this is what I was talking about earlier with the new guys they got. So right here, and you got Dunbar over here. This is what I want everybody to watch. Why does not it clear? I have to do that every freaking time. But this kind of right here. So there's gonna be multiple people covering the same group of people. This is zone. And
yeah, the bunch is.
We got four guys. I keep forgetting I don't annotate on. We have four guys right here, and there is just no one has decided to do this.
Well, I think he just realized it here. The guy that you.
But again, it's because Josh Allen's already started to throw the ball. That's the problem. And I think that is just simply practice squad guy playing 2 weeks and not getting it. But this was. Why I highlight certain plays and it was been a good throw. Josh, and that's what I'm saying with Josh Allen, make him throw into windows. This is a bad throw. He has so much room and throws it way behind the guy.
Hold on, can you roll it back a little bit?
Oh shoot. Yeah.
So when he's releasing. So I think he throws it here because as you can see, this Quentin Dunbar is kind of playing this cover 2 right here. So if he puts it a little bit farther, Quentin can make a break on the ball, but since he throws it back here behind him, granted, not a great throw either, but there is that's where the open space is. That's where
he had a full stop and fall down to catch it. Just let him catch it standing up.
Also, there is a defensive lineman putting his hands up, so I don't know if he's trying to throw around that. As you can see right here,
Josh Allen's
true.
Super tall. Josh Allen's 6'7". I think he's okay.
Yeah.
If he leads him. He leads him into Dunbar. That's the problem.
Well, all I'm asking, I'm not saying lead him, just lead it, catch it so he could catch it standing up, and then he can make a move. He throws it so far behind him that he has to fall down, basically getting it. And why I highlight this play in particular was it's more of this is what happened throughout most of the game, or a good chunk of the game. It was zone, but it wasn't zone done correctly. What actually kind of defending Pete Carroll, they did not execute this play very well at all. This actually, if they're playing the right scheme, this is actually not a bad little setup because he's supposed to be in the flat over here, but they're not in the right spot. And I think that's injuries and they had to stop. They had to play somebody else. And so I think that's kind of what ended up happening. Let's see here. Wait a second. Am I in the? Oh yeah, right here. This is what I wanted to say also with the throwing into windows. So just getting some simple pressure on Josh Allen. I'm going to go to this side right here. Just getting some simple pressure on him. And this is kind of what this is. Wait, damn it. I'm sorry, guys.
That was who was the penalty on? Because we could scold the Seahawks still. I don't see a problem there.
We scold the Seahawks. This is just some simple pressure on Josh Allen, gets in his face. And this is what I'm saying. The last play wasn't a great throw either. This is just even sort of simple. It wasn't even a lot of pressure, but it was just a guy was covered and Josh Allen freaked out and then threw this ball totally terrible. I gotta show it to you again. I missed it before
I
it
don't
went
know
away.
if he meant to even throw it to anybody. He was just kind of scared there.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't take a lot with Josh Allen to like do this because he's not very accurate. He's throwing it clearly to 13, but like it's just not a good ball. Like it's just terrible.
I don't think he's throwing that with the intention of really anyone catching it.
But you can't tell me that's a throwaway and it lands in the middle of the field. That's either if that's a throwaway, that's terrible, and he needs to be benched for doing that because you need to get it out of there. Just throw it over everybody's head.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
He has the cannon to do it.
Yeah,
just get it out.
I don't think that throw looks more like if anyone's catching it, it's my guy and only my guy. And
that was a lob in the middle of the field between two Seahawks. That is terrible.
Well, no one else caught it.
Okay, well, like I don't think he's throwing it away. I'm just gonna run it first. So this play, what I really liked about this play here was actually like I kind of really like Shoddy's game. He actually called yesterday. So you have one safety over the top, and you have just your two monsters doing their thing. Russell's already decided throwing it, but you have Tyler and DK. That's basically it, and you have three guys covering them. This safety again, as you'll see from the other angle, puts his hips right as Russell throws it. That he's covering Tyler, and Russell throws it to the other one, which again should be happening all day, every day. You should always have one of these two guys open. And yeah, he just picks his guy. That guy, the safety goes back with Tyler, like right here at the top. Mm-hmm. Goes back with Tyler, and you throw it to the other one. It's easy, simple. And it was just a simple concept. Everybody else came up for the Bills, and you could see it really well here. The safety turned his hips right before, but he turned his hips, and then, or DK was already catching it, but still, he was clearly just looking at Tyler the whole way. And DK one-on-one, again, what do we talk about? DK one-on-one, you need to feed him. When you see DK having one-on-one coverage, throw him the ball. He needs to win those, and he can win those.
I mean, Megatron can win most any battles, so.
And Megatron isn't playing football anymore.
Sorry, I was referring to DK.
I'm so sorry.
Even Max is upset that I called him Megatron.
This is actually the pick on Russell. I'm not super upset with this pick because if you guys will remember, I'll slow it down real slow. In week, I can't remember what week they played the Dolphins. Russell on this very same thing. It was like the 5-yard or 7-yard line or something like that. He took a sack on this play. It's 4th down. So if he takes a sack, the ball's turned over either way. And my question was just throw it. Only good things can happen if you throw it because the ball's picked, but it was turnover on down. If it's an incomplete, if it's a tip, if he's sacked, it's all Bills balls anyways. You need to get the ball in the end zone somewhere. And at least on this play, he threw the ball. So I actually think this play, despite it being interception, is actually like the best option. Russell just chucked it. And I'm like, well, good for Russell at least.
Honestly, too, like I want to kind of go back later and not right now, of course, but like, look, we kind of go to this well play like way too often. I think defenses are kind of getting used to this to where we just do this out, like bootleg out and somebody's out in the flat. And then you also have somebody behind him too.
He's throwing it back here. I think
he tries to go to the tight end. Is that Disley back there?
I can't tell because of the number, but I like what I agree with Kevin. I don't like the play call here because basically rolling out basically just shuts off half the field in a red zone.
That's Hollister.
In a red zone situation, I want to use the whole field because I'm already short space. And I just basically made one quadrant for my ball to go. That's it. All defenders had just got to go.
He does look back to Tyler though. Like
I don't know if he did it this game, but Hollister changed his number. I didn't even notice it until this week because Hollister is 86 now.
Oh yeah. Well, like the problem with that even then, Matthew, is still even with back there, they're doubling Tyler. They're telling you we are taking away Tyler. There are two guys literally touching Tyler right now. Mm-hmm. But problem is with that now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, and this guy will drop back eventually in one area.
Yeah, and
actually, there's
the ball. The thing is, the ball should be out right now.
There's one right here behind DK. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've basically, even while double covering Tyler over there, you have allowed a defense to like put all our guys in one area. So of course it's gonna get picked.
Like I understand the scramble drill, but the ball should be out right now. Like your players are not going to be any more open than they are right now because everybody falls back and then everyone, it's just like
I know I previously was like, hey, Shoddy did a good job. This is one play where he did not, but it's a one play in a game of what 60 offensive plays.
And I hear what you're saying with the throw it up and see if something happens, but a pick is not ideal here.
It's not, but again, like he takes a sack. Would have saved him 4 yards. Would have saved him 4 yards.
Well, true. I hear you.
It's not ideal, but like
I think you got to get the ball out sooner. It's not a bad play. It's not a bad play, but he's got to get it out.
Everyone freaks out like he threw 2 picks. I'm like, this pick didn't matter. Like an incompletion is the same thing. Like it didn't matter. Like you've got to do something. Try to do something. Throw it to DK and see if he makes a play. Like that's the worst. Let's see here.
We got about 10 minutes.
Okay. What I want to highlight is what actually I saw from somebody else here, and this is a bad Russell play. So again, it's a really good play design. I saw this online from somebody, but it's a really good play design to get so I want to highlight Tyler Lockett right here. He's going to go in motion right here, and he's going to get one-on-one with this linebacker right here. And that's perfect. You tell me I'm going to get Tyler Lockett one-on-one with a linebacker, I'm going to take it all day. And Russell's going to take it all day. However, the problem comes from Russell, and he underthrows. Oh, God, you can't, of course, see. He hits the linebacker in the back, of course, with this freaking sun. We're not going to be able to see it. But right there, it makes contact with the linebacker.
I think the other angle is probably going to be better for this.
I don't think it shows all of it, but still, like Tyler has him beat. There is nobody here. Russell, man, you got to get it over here somewhere.
Well, the safety can come over though, with the amount of time.
But the ball's in the Matthew. The ball is the ball.
He's off on 10. Like that's at least 10 yards. Like yes,
the ball is like right here. Like he's already thrown this ball.
I really can't see the ball, so I'm really okay. Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying.
So like he didn't just.
I think Tyler outruns that because literally he's got to gain 10 yards laterally, like on him, going diagonal.
Like the ball hits the linebacker right there. Like he has all this space right here.
Play it out a little bit. I want to see if the other angle has.
And even then, like it's a first down. Even if the safety does get to him, that's literally a first down. Even though, so
like look at all that room.
Yeah, true.
Like Russell's just got to get that ball.
That angle shows he's about 13 yards off of him.
Like
so he throws a bullet, and we need a lob.
Yeah,
here is what you're
look
saying.
At that. Like look all that space right there. And
we need a moonshot and not a straight
15-20 yards. If that linebacker makes a good angle, if not, that's Tyler housing it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. It hits him square in the back.
Boom.
And it's a linebacker, man. Like Russell. I mean, Russell's not gonna be perfect, but again, you've got it. That's one-on-one Tyler with the linebacker on single coverage and no safety help. You've got to hit that. And Russell he was a little off today. Like
one more.
Growing pains.
All right, 2 more.
No, it's fine. I'll show one that's gonna make some people mad.
Ooh.
It's gonna be a bad Seahawk one. This is Jamal Adams being terrible in coverage.
Yes. No, we need to expose it. Like people need to know. Like
here's Jamal.
You should
Adams
be pissed at Jamal Adams right now. He's fucking playing terrible.
He's gonna try to cover Diggs on this play. So again, watch Jamal Adams. What happened?
Oh, good God.
I think you're using the term coverage very loosely here. He presses him and then chases him down.
What is happening? This play has been going for less than a second and a half. What happened here?
Diggs back out. Like, holy shit.
I can't get I can't erase this. Okay, there we go. But yeah, like this is the problem. And he's still like, even when he comes out of the top of this, look at when he comes out.
No, he's just chasing him. He's not covering him. He's just chasing
him. Right now, he's looking at Josh Allen. He's not looking at the guy he's covering in Diggs. Diggs is running away from him, and he's still going backwards. Like Diggs is going to keep dropping. Look how much space he has when he catches that ball on Jamal Adams. Either Jamal Adams isn't healthy, and he needs to not be playing now.
He's just got to beat the safety over time.
Or Kevin is right, and he needs to just get his ass there playing one-on-one coverage every day in practice now.
Yeah.
Because that was
like right now, we don't need him to. You can literally show him the schemes for the blitzes, and he'll get it. Like he needs to work on coverage. Like
he tries to press and hand fight, but it doesn't work. And Diggs just goes by him, and he has to chase him. And it's bad. It's bad from the beginning. It's just bad.
You gotta show the play that basically ended the game.
All right, one more.
This was a 10. This was a 10-point game, I believe, right here. And it is 3rd and 16.
Oh God.
The play that Pete Carroll called this play. He said,
"Pause it. You don't even need to. You don't even need to like throw the play."
So this is already a bad idea.
Down here. Like, this is the problem.
This is a bad idea. So we got two guys, and Dunbar's already the first down marker is right here. Basically, he can't give up a single yard.
Hold on. The problem with this play is
I'll back it up.
The problem with this play is you are playing to hold the line of the first down. But hold on, pause it right here.
I gotta wait before they snap it. Okay, shoot, right here. They're about to snap it.
Okay, the box is securely covered, and then you've got outside one-on-one. Why is Dunbar all the way back here if he is playing one-on-one coverage? There's no reason for him to be back there holding the line when he is playing one-on-one coverage against this person down here. There is plenty of room for him to run, and it is insane that you are playing this far off on a guy who could easily just run right by you. Yes.
Good analysis, Kevin. Good analysis.
So it's clearly man coverage. There's no safety over the top, and it's just it's just so easy. Beasley has to block his guy, and it's gone.
So, and my issue is, so everyone who ever says, I don't want to see prevent is stupid. This is when you play prevent. I don't want to hear you complain about it anymore. This is a 10-point game. You stop them here. It's 3rd and 16. They're not getting any points. Russell goes down, scores a touchdown. It's a ball game right here. And you dial up this blitz with zero safety help, and you make the guy play where you can't give up any yards.
I'm going to cover up because he doesn't have
this leg. This is one place where I would... Yeah, sorry, Kevin.
It's all good.
Yeah, this is one spot where zone defense makes some sense. Like, cover your zones, keep everything in front of you, and you don't let them get the first down. It's so simple.
They called a perfect play, and they called a screen, which Seahawks have always been super aggressive. They've been super aggressive this year. And how you beat super aggressive teams is you throw screens and deception. And they called a screen at the perfect time. But Pete Carroll,
they did not call a screen at the perfect time. They called a screen for the defense that was called. That is what it was.
But the Seahawks could have shown it and it came out.
Look at the guys on the line who try and chase him, and then the ball's already gone. Like, what are you doing?
They went all out. They cover zero. Yeah. It's bring Everett, bring
they
the
know,
house.
Bam, wide open, no one near him.
That isn't even like.
And the blockers come, and how he doesn't score is amazing, honestly. But
who caught him? Was that Flowers?
Yeah, that was Flowers.
Yeah. Flowers, but
yeah,
still,
Trey had an okay game. Like if anything to take away from this game is that Trey actually is kind of slowly getting better, which is nice to see. For depth reasons, just because we know that Dunbar needs to rest.
Sorry.
It clearly just showed it.
I will say Russell's other pick, which I'm not going to show, was on 3rd and 23 on their own 10-yard line, and they threw a pick, and it resulted in points. That's why you run a draw play on your own 10-yard line, guys. I know you don't like it, but that's why you run a draw play on your own 10-yard line, because bad things happen if you try to throw for 30 yards.
You beat the blitz by not letting the blitz even have a chance to get to you. And that's exactly what happened. The blitz had no effect on this play. It didn't even have a chance to get there.
Fire Pete. Do it.
All right. Well, that was some analysis of that porous game against the Bills. Tell us your thoughts on, I want to hear some Twitter thoughts on Pete Carroll, maybe some YouTube comments. Because Kev is bringing the fire, and I'm curious if that fire is going to be flamed more, or if people are going to tamp it down.
Yeah, I literally saw people were saying that it wasn't Ken Norton, that Pete's not running that defense because it's not Pete's personality. Like, what? Like, I've seen so many just horrible excuses from 12. So please add me at Twitter and feel free to give me your terrible excuses of why Pete should stay.
Or surprise him with a really good take that he's like, oh my God, I agree with that.
And like I said, I'm not going to if you debate it with actual facts and stuff like that, I will seriously, I would love to see it because most of the time people just be like, well, he's good. And it's just that's not an argument. You're just giving your emotions. Give me facts that prove that Pete is good. That's all I ask. But also make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
There you go. Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that.
So you can hear how much you hate us.
Yes.
And it'll be great. Matthews knows everything. You all side with Matthew. Me and Kevin are stupid.
Well, I do know
Honestly,
everything.
like-
I'm
that
only
is
saying
true.
that. I'm only saying that because it's his birthday right now. He knows nothing.
I do know everything. And I believe my division winner prediction is doing much better than yours. So I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Aren't they like
Well-
two games above them right now? Or
Yeah.
2 games up? That's it.
But you said they're done, so I think
They
I've
are
won
done.
this.
They're done.
Boom.
The Seahawks are winning this division.
Roasted.
What are you talking about?
I hope
But
so.
But if Kyler Murray breaks his leg next week, then your prediction is done.
I said the Rams
Yeah,
were gonna be
probably.
good. I said
Yeah,
the Rams were gonna be
exactly.
good, and
But
they're
that's
good.
what happened to the Niners. Everybody broke their legs pretty much. So
Who is the backup quarterback in Arizona? That's what I.
it
It's not
is,
Rosen. That's what I thought it was.
No, it's
Rosen
our
is
former backup, the guy that was in Green Bay that came to us that we traded for in the seventh.
The guy from Notre Dame who I actually really liked.
It starts with a B. He has a B in his name?
Can't tell you. Could not tell you.
This makes for really good.
This is
podcast. I was
good.
thinking of a backup quarterback.
Yeah, we can't even name him. We can't even name him. So that's pretty bad.
He was our former backup, and then they signed
Brett
him.
Hundley.
Brett Hundley. Yeah, that's
That's it. Oh, UCLA. Kaiser's
Yeah.
from Notre Dame.
All right. Well, yes. Send us some tweets. Tell us what you thought of the show. What you think of Pete Carroll, Ken Norton, all of those sorts of takes. I am at Baide _Matt. Sean is at Sean _Baide, and Kevin is at Kev Believes. Gentlemen, let's keep our emotions intact this game this week, and
Just fire them off.
No,
Just everybody.
like I said, if they lose, I'm just gonna have popcorn just watching Seahawks Twitter just on fire. Just everybody's just gonna be giving horrible takes. But yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know your horrible takes in the comment section or good take. I'm not trying to be like negative.
I was
but
so sure I was gonna be the Skip Bayless of this podcast, and quickly
Oh,
Kevin.
man.
you don't want to be the Skip
rolling in
Bayless of
here
anything.
hot.
But yeah, just tell us what you think, and who knows? Maybe Seahawks will dominate. Hopefully, that'd be a nice surprise.
I hope we're all wrong. I really do hope we're all wrong.
Yeah.
Believe me when I say this too, and I hate. It's not like I'm enjoying the fact that I know that the Rams coach that McVay is going to poop all over us. I know I'm going with poop this week,
Yeah.
but I would love for the Seahawks to do their normal thing after they get their butts kicked and just dominate. That'd be nice. I mean, we did it to the Niners last week, even though they were hurt. Because I thought it was going to be a close game, and then we just kind of really had our way with the Niners and just let them have garbage time to make up. So maybe we'll do the same thing with the Rams, hopefully. And like I said, there are hopes. Jared Goff is nowhere near as mobile. If we get to Goff and Cooper Kupp doesn't have his normal security blanketness, then we might have a chance. So.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I think I can safely say we all hope we're wrong. And Sean, you're gonna get a text from Uncle Jeff on Sunday if the Rams lose, because I already took the heat for the Cardinals, so this one's clearly on you.
Ooh.
So yeah, Uncle Jeff, if you listen to this, he
does.
started it. He started it. He was the first one to predict. So I did.
I go with my gut, not my heart.
All right. Well, let us hope that the Seahawks win. Go Hawks, and we will see you all next week on Washington, East to West Sports.